Good afternoon, all of you. How are you? Sorry for the goof up. Right, so you know me, I am Nikita, and today we'll talk about RC passages. Yes, so we, in our previous sessions also, when we talked about all about verbal ability and reading comprehension, I told you that your reading comprehension passages can carry up to one-third weightage in your VARC section, right? So that means 15 plus questions from RC passages we can expect, right? So what is it? How do we need to prepare for RC passages? That's the question, isn't it? So good afternoon, Rushi. So basically, I told you that you get moderately lengthy passages, right? You can get very short passages also. That's a possibility, right? Basically, let's say paragraphs on which just two questions are based. You can get moderately lengthy passages. However, I haven't seen extremely lengthy passages in your MAH CET, right? So let's say maximum around 650 words. Now, VB, good afternoon. We have to cover all question types. Okay, so when we are preparing, we'll cover various question types. It's not like I'll focus just on the direct questions with you. Fine, agreed that you do get them in good number. However, you do get inference questions also. You do get vocabulary questions also. So we have to prepare for all question types. Having said this, even the indirect questions are not very difficult in MAT. You do get some grammar questions based on RC passages. So that's a unique feature here, right? That you don't just get vocabulary questions based on RC passages, you can get grammar questions also based on RC passages. You can get fill in the blank form also. Okay, fill in the blank format of questions also. So we'll see all of this today. Grammar based questions, FIBs, vocabulary based questions, direct questions, inference questions. We'll look at all of that today. Now, what are some of the other tips, some of the other things that I want to share with you? See, because there are five options in MAH CET, one of these options could be none of the above. We have got such questions in the past. One of these could be all of the above, right? And you can get such questions also which have, let's say, multiple statements. Okay, and then your options say, okay, only one is true, both one and two are true, all of them are true, right? So the options are a combination. Options are of combination type, both two and three. So in such cases, make use of elimination. Be smart about attempting these questions. Eliminate. If you think, okay, second is not true, then this one also automatically goes out of the window. So be smart about attempting such questions, because if you have an all of the above option, then it's quite likely. I mean, I'm not saying that it will always be the case, but what if all the four are correct here and indeed the answer is all of the above? Then what is the way to go about it in such a question? If you have an all of the above option, just see, okay, one is true as per the passage, two is also true as per the passage. Let me just quickly check three and four also. If you are sure even just about three, not so much about four, then also all of the above is the answer, right? Okay. Good afternoon again. Hi. Can we do only vocab and fact-based questions? So maybe you will find out that that even the inference questions, wherever you have to derive something, that is also very easy here. You'll not face a problem. Trust me. Okay. Good afternoon, Sushma. Again, let's see. So I was telling you this, that you do not require more than 15 to 20 minutes for 15 questions on an average, right? You will be able to attempt them in 15 to 20 minutes. Also, your topics, RC, students ask me which genre will the RC be from? What topics should we cover? You should cover topical RCs also based on current topics, and some general RCs also. Okay, so I was telling you this, that I saw a passage on sarcasm and satire in one of your previous years, right? So that's pretty general in nature. So this is how you have to prepare for RC passages. Now, let's begin with this RC passage. And I know that some of you have already read a couple of slides, but let's just give time to everyone who is here, right? So let's read this quickly and let me know once you've done this slide. Okay. Done. Yes. Okay. Okay. All right. So VB is asking if we can skip inference-based questions in the exam to save time. I'll answer this. Let's come to the questions. I'll answer this. Okay. Hello again, Ashish. Done the second slide. All right. Let's go to the next slide. Completed. All right. Let's go to the questions now, and I'll show you that even the ones that appear to be indirect, that are indirect, can be easy. Yes. Question 1. What is the primary purpose of the author behind writing this passage? What do you think? Yes, Nemi. This was just 450 or something words. No, 500 words. This was 500. The next one is 450. I've got my first response. Okay. All right. 3 Ds, 1 C, 1 D now. So 4 Ds in total. Others, 1 E, all right. Okay. Just how many? 5, 6, 6 responses. That's it. What about the others? See, anyway, you will be marking something or the other, right? You will anyway be marking something or the other. You might as well type that option here. Yes? So, D is the answer, absolutely correct, to talk about Kashmir's folk music in general and its popularity among tourists. Right, so if you see the very first sentence of this RC passage, it says the cultural shows being organized by Jammu and Kashmir's tourism department are giving a delightful experience to the tourists during the during the spring season in Kashmir. Right, so we are talking about tourism here. The latest folk music show, so we start talking about it. Then if you see in the other paragraphs, we talk about folk music and how it attracts tourists. So our aim here is to talk about both tourism and folk music, and it's basically folk music in general and its popularity among tourists. That's why these are answered here. Now let's see why not the other options. Why I got 1C also, right? So B says, let's look at B also. To talk about the need to preserve Kashmir's folk culture. See, culture is a broad term. We have focused on music in this RC, not on culture. So A and B eliminated. See, to talk about the growing influence of Kashmir's folk music, this is a close option, right? So yes, we are talking about its growing influence, but within a specific context. The context is of tourism, right? So D is more comprehensive as compared to C. C is incomplete. Then to talk about the contribution of Kashmir to the tourism industry, that's too broad to be the answer. Too broad. Because our discussion is particularly about the folk music, right? So D is our answer here. Even though this was a main idea question, it was an easy question. So do not think that just because a question is an inference question or a main idea question, you should skip it right away. Give it a shot, right? Read the options. Sometimes the options are so far apart that you will be able to mark the answer. If, however, you feel that okay, the options are pretty close, you're not even able to narrow down to two options, then yes, of course, you can leave it. Just randomly mark something out of the two that you feel are likely, or out of the three that you've narrowed down to, mark something randomly and proceed. Right? Okay. Coming to question 2. Yes. Which of the following is true about the cultural shows being organized by Kashmir's tourism department? Okay. Let's see. True about the cultural shows being organized by Kashmir's tourism department. A direct question. A, all right. I think I've got one D also. Probably this is for this question only. Others, yes. A, all right. C, okay. A. So in direct questions, you always have the liberty to go back and cross check. Okay. Make use of that liberty. So here, you could have asked me to go back. Cultural shows being organized by Kashmir's tourism department, right? So let's see. Uh, so these are being organized by Kashmir's tourism department, right? These are being organized by them. Is organizing and sponsoring the same thing? Is organizing and sponsoring the same thing? No. Sponsor is the one who provides money. Organizer is somebody who just arranges things in place, right? So option A, what some of you are saying, that they are being sponsored by the tourism department, that is incorrect. They are organized by the Kashmir government? No. Okay. First of all, we should say Jammu and Kashmir government, but anyway, they are organized by the tourism department, all right, of JNK. Now, the cultural shows are providing tourists with a refreshing experience. See, throughout the passage, this thing has been running that they provide a delightful experience to the tourists. The tourists are attracted to them. They have a combination of legendary singers also and young singers also, which appeals to them, right? So it's actually C that is the answer. Okay, not A. So now see this again. That was my point here. Now this looks like a pretty direct question. Yes, which of the following is true? So in case you think, acha ye wala direct hai and I'll attempt this. But let's say you are not careful. The question is not difficult, but you are not careful. Then you may end up marking the wrong answer. So for direct questions, you have to be careful. It's not like all the direct questions are easy and all the inference questions are tough. Right? There is no binary like this. So C is our answer here. D says they are likely to generate huge revenue for the tourism department. This is just speculation. My passage does not talk about huge revenue anywhere or revenue anywhere, right? So it's going beyond the RC passage, right? Eliminated. The cultural shows are the backbone of the Kashmir tourism department. They are the backbone. So this again is an idea that has not been stated. Fine, you applying your external knowledge, you might think that, but calling something the backbone when my passage does not say it is a little extreme, right? And E is eliminated. So our answer here is C. I hope you understood why C and why not A, right? Yes, delightful word is mentioned in the first passage, second sentence. Absolutely correct, Ashish. Right? So C is my answer here. Okay. Coming to the third question, a vocabulary question. What is the synonym of the word legacy as used in the passage? Yes. Synonym of the word legacy as used in the passage. Let's see what you say. I think 2, 3 options can be very easily eliminated in this. Yes, where is the word legacy used here? Who will tell me? Is it here on this slide? So, see, retention matters. Yes. So, if you remember where the word has been used, you will quickly go back. You will quickly look at that sentence. Okay. And that will also help you. Among them, the main focus is on folk music, whose legacy we are carrying forward for the last many years. Right. So, whose legacy we are carrying forward for the last many years. So, I've got some responses, and yes, all of you are correct. Very good. Inheritance is my answer here. Something that we inherit from our ancestors. So, the folk music is something that is being carried forward for generations. Hence, A. Why not E? Why not lineage? What is lineage? Yes, he is a person of an ancient lineage. Yes, an ancient lineage. So basic lineage simply means ancestry, your ancestry, right? Inheritance is something you get from your ancestors. So legacy is something that you get and you carry forward from your ancestors. Hence, A is a better option. Good. See, vocabulary questions and grammar based questions, I think you should definitely give them a shot in MAH CET because A, they are pretty short, and B, this becomes very easy, right? Legacy is not a difficult word. Then these 3 options, I think you can very easily eliminate. So you're left with A and E, and on some, just reading the sentence tells you that A is a better answer. Yes. So do not, in my opinion, do give the vocabulary questions and grammar questions a sincere shot. Okay. Question number 4. According to the passage, if someone wants to know about Kashmir in depth, then dash. If someone wants to know about Kashmir in depth, okay, I've got some responses. All right. This is a direct question. Okay. So these questions are your low hanging fruit, right? This is what I call low hanging fruit. So ये incorrect नहीं होना चाहिए. See, even if you have a broad sense of the passage, now you know the passage is talking about folk music. So there's only one option that talks about folk music here, which is B. B is indeed the answer. So the fourth was a very easy question. Three was based on vocabulary, but you found it to be easy. So that's why I said that do give them a sincere shot. Two, some of you got confused between sponsored and organized. So again, direct questions, you should definitely give them a shot, but you should be careful, right? You can always go back and cross check. One, even though it was a main idea question, we could attempt it because the options were far apart. Now, let's come to the last question. No, we have one more after this, I think. According to the passage, the initiative taken by the tourism department to host folk music shows. Yes, what does it show? Acha, to host folk music shows is all right. The initiative taken by the tourism department to host folk music shows is. Okay. Let's see what you say. C, okay. All right. Others? All right, all right. So some options can be very easily eliminated here again. Alarming. When I call something alarming, I'm not happy about it. Right? So alarming is a negative word, whereas the author has described them in a positive light. A is automatically eliminated. Then B, some students might narrow down to B and C, but game changing, something that's a game changer, it's like a watershed event. It marks a turn in events. Okay, it basically changes, marks a very significant change in the field. Such comments have not been made in my passage. So this becomes extreme. Marking B becomes extreme. A and B eliminated. Hugely money making has not been discussed. So if you got the previous question that talked about revenue, right, you should be able to eliminate this. E again eliminated. Our answer therefore is C. Absolutely correct. Okay, so this is just to give you an idea that this is the variety of questions that you can get, and your questions can be simple. So don't leave an RC passage completely, because despite, let's say, 1 to 2 difficult questions, the other questions are likely to be easy, right? So question 6. The folk music show saw both the young and legendary artists entertaining the spectators with their melodious renditions. So which of the following parts of the sentence has an error? This has been taken from the RC passage, right? So normally, so I repeated this sentence for you. Normally what they do is they highlight it in the RC passage itself. So for instance, here I have highlighted it also, put it in bold also for this reason. So if you read the context a bit, it says, whenever we organize such tourism promotional events, we provide an opportunity to youngsters. They have their own version which attracts the new generation, and the audience also feels delighted. Along with that, we also give an opportunity to our legendary artists. Like in this event, we have Noor Muhammad Shah, so that by clubbing both of them, we can promote our culture as well as tourism. He further added. Now we have this sentence. Let's see what you say now. Okay. I think I've got a couple of B's here. A also I've got. Others, what do you say? A or D? All right. Okay. The folk music shows saw both. See this. So this is about parallelism. The error here is a parallelism error. Okay. Both and they are correlative conjunctions, meaning that both X and Y. She is both smart and kind, right? So both X and Y. So parallelism says that when you have these correlative conjunctions, no, then X and Y, the phrases that come after each element, they should be consistent. They should be parallel to each other. So after both, I said the young. But after legendary, there is no the, there is no article. That's an inconsistency here, right? So I should say the folk music show saw both the young and the legendary artists, the young and the legendary artists entertaining the spectators, because these are two different groups. That's why I made you read the context. So there are young artists that appeal to the younger audience, right? And then there are legendary artists also, because that they represent that legacy that they want to carry forward. So there are two different groups. So the young and the legendary artists, right? Repetition of article, that concept is being applied here. So our answer is B, Bangalore here. Okay. All right, all right. So B, Bangalore is the answer. Hope this is clear to everybody. Now, we have seen a variety of questions. We have seen fill in the blanks. We have seen grammar based questions. We have seen a vocabulary question. We have seen a direct question and an indirect question. So, various kinds of questions. And see, you must also have felt that they were not difficult questions. Okay. So, that's why my suggestion is do not leave an RC passage completely in MSc. Right? And you know what you have to do. The purpose of this slide is to tell you that if you're enjoying the session, please go and press the like button. Okay, we have another passage after this, and I have some exam related strategy tips for you, right? So let's do one thing. Let me first talk about the exam related tips. Then we'll read the question stems first, and then we'll read the RC passage. Let's see if this approach works for us or doesn't. Now, some exam strategy tips for you. See, I have already told you this, that RC passages, they can carry a very substantial weightage in the VRC section. So do prepare for them. Okay. Then, okay, fine, you have prepared for them, but what you can do is in the exam, do prioritize your RC passages. That's why I've written this point. Do prioritize your RC passages. Start with an RC passage whose language you find interesting. So let's say you read a couple of sentences in it in the first paragraph. You found the language to be interesting. You find that, okay, the topic is also interesting, familiar. Start with that kind of an RC passage. Okay. Or one another thing that you can do is read the question stems before reading the RCs. Right. So I generally don't prioritize on this basis. I prioritize on the basis of language familiarity. Then I go about reading the question stem. Once I've decided, okay, this will be my passage 1, then I go about reading the question stems before reading the RCs. I do that in an exam like MAH CET, because there quite a few questions can be direct or easy. So I want to save my time, right? I do not do this, let's say, in a CAT or a ZAT, because there the questions are pretty inference based. So reading the question stems in advance doesn't help a lot. In direct questions, it helps. So let's try that for this RC passage. Focus on the easy questions. Yes. So the idea is not to, let's say, leave a particular question type. The idea is to leave difficult questions. So decide this on the basis of level of difficulty, not on the basis of the question type. Don't get stuck because you have a time constraint operating. So whatever you can do easily, whatever you find to be easy, first mark that. For the difficult ones, when, let's say, at the end, if some time is left, then you can tackle them. Otherwise, for the difficult ones right now, if you've been able to narrow down to 2 options, then mark the one that you feel okay is more likely and just proceed. Okay, if you haven't been able to, then okay, mark something or the other. You can mark it for review later on, so that later on you can see, okay, these are the questions that I couldn't attempt earlier. Mark all the questions, there's no negative marking. And please always eliminate. That goes without saying, right? Okay. Now, coming to our question stems. Which one of the following words from the passage means a milestone? Okay, so this is a vocabulary question, milestone ka meaning. Which of the following best summarizes the main idea of the passage? So I have to read the passage with this focus that there's a main idea question later on. According to the passage, which of the following is a significant factor contributing to the success of startups in Israel? So keep these words in your mind. Factor contributing to the success of startups in Israel. Startups need to focus on scaling up and sustainable business models because, direct again, why do they need to scale up? Why do they need to have sustainable business models? Which of the following is consistent with the expression high and dry used in the passage? So, high and dry, somewhere it has been used, we have to find the meaning or what is consistent with it, right? Okay, so let's have a look at this RC passage. It's relatively shorter than our earlier one, right? And it is about business, the business world, startups. So it will be easy for, let's say, some of you are interested in that. Yes, let's start. And let me know once you finish. Read the passage first. Let me know once you finish. Okay, let's go to the next slide. Okay. Let me know once you're done. All right. Okay. So let's go to the questions now. Which one of the following words from the passage means a milestone? Yes. Which one means a milestone? What do you say? Okay. Momentum. What is momentum? Science concept, if you remember momentum. Let's see what you say. Yes, science students. Something like mass into velocity, right? That is momentum. So basically momentum is about speed. It's not about milestones. See, what are milestones? Milestones. If I say that this was a big milestone in her life, that means it was a big moment, it was a significant event in her life. So landmark is the answer, not momentum. Okay, landmark, and landmark event again is a very significant event. Right? See, what is the job of milestones? They tell you, okay, how much distance you've covered, how much distance remains. So they basically tell you where you are currently in a way. Landmarks also serve the same purpose. They again tell you where you are currently, right? So milestones, landmarks, they are both used when we are talking about something significant in our life, right? Achievements in our life. Absolutely. A is our answer. This is a pure and purely vocabulary question, right? Okay, so let's come to the next question then. This was pure vocabulary, and here, if you had an idea of milestone, I don't think this was a difficult question. It was an easy question, right? Coming to question 2. Best summarizes the main idea of the passage. Yes. Best summarizes the main idea of the passage. Good, Suyash. Let's see what you say. The main idea. A says India's startup ecosystem is a global hub. Hub means the center of an activity. India's startup ecosystem is a global center for innovation and entrepreneurship. Okay. Is that the main idea of this passage? Okay, I've got B also. Let me read B. While 2021 was great for startups, it's time to shift gears and scale up with sustainable business models. We do talk about how the year 2021 was for startups. The author also mentions that having said all of this, the author talks about the trends in the startup arena. Then in the third paragraph, the author says, having said all of this, that said, India's startup ecosystem has miles to go before it catches up with other countries like Israel, China, and the US. Okay, so what does it need to do? It needs to scale up with a sustainable business model. So the author in the first two paragraphs talks about, okay, fine, yes, India's startup ecosystem is becoming a global hub. Okay, but then the author talks about two trends here. First, they're increasingly driving focus more towards the B2B space. Second major trend is that a rising number of startups are becoming scale ups. So, after talking about these two trends, the author says that okay, fine, these trends are there. Having said all of this, we still need to catch up. This is a very important part of the author's main idea, right? So, this is just the first sentence, not the essence, not the summary of this passage, right? Then C says India's startup ecosystem is no match for startups of other countries like Israel, China, and the US. We do mention this line that there are miles to go before it catches up. However, this is not the main idea of this passage. Okay. They merely replicate, no, the author has not said this, that they merely replicate successful business models. So this is false as per the passage. Coming to B and E. Coming to B and E. India's startups now have started focusing on B2B segment and scaling up their business to become profitable. So, we are talking about the first part, yes. We are also talking about scaling up, but the idea is not that they are scaling up to become profitable. This cause effect relationship here that has been created is erroneous. The author is not relating the two things. The author is just saying कि उनको funding मिल गई तो वो scale up हो गए, right? Because they got funding, they became scale ups. The author has not related scaling up to profitability. Okay, so B or E is what you should have narrowed down to. Good, Ashish, and very good, Aniruddha, Sam. B is the answer indeed. Okay, Rushi also said this earlier. Suyash also said this. B is the answer. Hope this is clear to everybody. Yes, because the idea is that yes, it was a great year for startups 2021. It is now time to shift gears and scale up with sustainable business models. This advice of the author, this suggestion of the author is very important to the main idea of this RC passage. Okay, and this relationship has not really been drawn. Scaling up, where the author has talked about it, the author has talked about the funding part here, growth and valuations, right? It has been a push to the many startups that needed to propel their business, right? Faster funding, larger ticket size rounds. That's what we are talking about here, not about profitability. ठीक है, समझ आ गया सबको? That means we can proceed. Okay, this one I want everyone to answer correctly. According to the passage, which of the following is a significant factor contributing to the success of startups in Israel? वहां पे क्यों successful है? Yes, tell me. Let's see what you say. Question 3. Okay. All right. C, E. I've got one A also. So Natasha has answered the fastest this time. Okay, I've got D also. A, C, D, E. Got all of them. Anyone who says B? All right then. B is incorrect. B is not the answer. Israel's founders did not neglect profitability in their pursuit of funding. This is nowhere mentioned in the passage. So this can be rejected easily. Right. Then I've got E also. Israel focused on becoming the country with more high-tech startups per capita than any other country. So yes, this fact is mentioned. Okay, first of all, it's not mentioned that it focused on becoming that country. It is now that country. That's what is mentioned. And yes, this fact is mentioned in the RC passage. So I made this option to be confusing, right? Because the moment students say, okay, this is mentioned in the passage about Israel, they think, okay, this should be the answer. While this part is true, it is not addressing the question. What is contributing to the success? This is not a reason behind its success, that it has more high-tech startups per capita than any other country, right? Those startups, in that case, those high-tech startups could have little substance. They could not be of much use also. The reason why the startups there are successful is that Israel, very early on, it started investing in intellectual capital and created a knowledge-based economy. That is why the startups there are successful. This is just talking about the number of startups, not the reason for their success. E is not the answer. C is quite a few marks C. Okay. D also, let's have a look. No, Israel did not do this. This is something that Israel did not do. See, let's go back and let me show this to you. Those who marked D, we talk about Israel here. Basically, it says that countries such as Israel decided early to invest in intellectual capital and create a knowledge-based economy. As a result, it has more high-tech startups per capita than any other country. right? So Indian startups should focus on these areas. They should realize that profitability is important, right? So when I talk about Israel here, I haven't talked about replicating what Silicon Valley is doing, right? I haven't said this anywhere here. So that's why D is not something that has been said in this context. Where is D mentioned? The part about replicating what Silicon Valley is doing. Here, this is a significant shift from the initial rush of young entrepreneurs who were merely replicating successful business models from Silicon Valley, primarily aimed at retail consumers. It's mentioned here, not in the context of Israel. Hence, D is eliminated. So, I have eliminated D. I have eliminated E. C is my answer. B says B is not something that is mentioned. Okay. And A, no, this is mentioned about India startups that they should instead focus on these areas. So again, false as per the passage. Hope this is clear to everybody. Okay. So you can always go back. Remember that for direct questions. Always go back and cross check. Now, startups need to focus on scaling up and sustainable business models because, yes, why do they need to focus on scaling up and sustainable business models? Okay, okay. Let's see. I think again, let's go back once. Let's cross check. Okay, in the rush to raise more funds and celebrate unicorn status, startup entrepreneurs should not forget the need to scale up with a sustainable business model. A sudden reversal in funds emanating from the VC or PE space, venture capitalist or private equity space, in the wake of a turn towards tighter monetary policy could leave some startups high and dry. Right? So, why should startups scale up with a sustainable business model? Because if they don't do that and there is a sudden reversal in funds from the VC withdraws funds, then that could leave some startups high and dry. So, now later on this is mentioned, okay, startups need to do their homework well in this scenario. Otherwise, the momentum of the last 10 years may turn into a bubble. So, this is a consequence of what will happen if they don't scale up, right? It is not giving me a reason why they need to scale up. Okay, they need to scale up because the momentum of the last 10 years may turn into a bubble. No, if they don't scale up, then that this will happen. So, this is eliminated. Okay, they are focused solely on valuation. Is this mentioned that they're focused solely on valuation? Extreme word, solely. We are saying that they shouldn't neglect profitability in the pursuit of valuation, but nowhere has this been said that they are focused solely on valuation. So, eliminated. They cannot tap talent because of the lack of research and development. This is completely alien, not discussed. So, we are left with B and E. Now, between B and E, what do you say? Between B and E, what do you say? SG says B. Saurabh, Suyash, Rushi say E. Then Samriddhi says B. Alright. Dharmi, Sushma, Sam, they say B. So, the answer here is B. Because why are we saying that they need to scale up with sustainable business models? We are saying this because this will actually help them if, let's say, the Ps and the VCs withdraw funds. This will help them in that scenario. That is why they need to scale up with sustainable business model. So my passage says this outrightly. Right in the next sentence, this is mentioned as a reason. B is my answer and not E in this scenario. So don't think that just because there is a none of the above, the none of the above will be the answer. Right? Hope this makes sense to everybody. Okay. Question 5. High and dry. Idiom question in a way. High and dry. So Swati is asking this, how to manage vocabulary, particularly migratory words, foreign words, okay, with difficult spellings. So migratory words, yes, they can have difficult spellings because they come from other languages, right? So for instance, a word like Schadenfreude, right? So this is a German word, it's not from English. So such words can pose a problem for us. So then what's the solution? The solution is to learn certain migratory words. Okay, what can be a source for it? Um, Check this app, Vocab 24. Okay, this may have a list because it has a separate list for idioms, a separate list for your normal words. So this may have a list on migratory words. Otherwise, it's actually difficult to find a list for solely migratory words. So check Vocab 24, the app, and then you can check the internet. You'll find some list or the other there. A longer term solution is that you learn words through root words. Because when we do this, no, when we learn words through root words, once you know the roots for various words, then sometimes the migratory words also contain that root, right? Ultimately, various words come from Greek and Latin roots. So they might contain that root, and from that you may guess the meaning. So this is a longer term solution. The shorter term solution is to go for some list, word list or the other for migratory words, right? And the even longer term solution is to read more and more. So Schadenfreude, I didn't acquire this through, let's say, any list. I acquired this because of reading an article that mentioned this word, right? It was about plagiarism and it mentioned this word. Schadenfreude is enjoying in the pain of others. Freud is joy. Okay. Schaden is pain. So enjoying in the pain of others, in the misfortune of others. That is Schadenfreude. Okay. All right. So for this question, I'm getting a lot of B's. Then I've got a C and an E also. Let's have a look. High and dry. I think my tone itself would have made it clear that, if VCs withdraw their funding, then the startups will be left high and dry. That means they'll be left in a bad situation. So in a helpless position is indeed the answer. Nothing else fits. Okay, drunk and alone? No, not at all. Apple pie order. What does this mean? Apple pie order. If something is in an apple pie order, it means it's in a very neat and clean order. A very neat and clean order has been very neatly arranged. If someone is on cloud nine, again it's an idiom, that means someone is very happy. To get a shot in the arm is to basically get that much needed stimulus, that much needed encouragement, push for something. That is to get a shot in the arm. Okay, so the answer here is B, others don't fit. Easy question. So this question was easy here, right? Here we had none of the above, but then B was the answer. 3, again you could go back and cross check and then it was not very difficult. The main idea, so for the main idea I've always told you that read the passage with that focus. So there were first, second terms like this. That said they need to do this. So words, keywords like this that helped me in figuring out the main idea. And here this was an out and out vocabulary question. Okay, so if out of 5 you've got 3 correct, that is also fine. Okay, that is also fine because let's say this passage here you did have a couple of confusing questions. For instance, the none of the above could confuse you. So one question wrong there is okay, right? And here, yes, some students could have got confused between C and E. The others, I think you could have got correct after reading a bit. All right. So 3 on 5 is also a pretty decent, attempt for a passage that you might not really like. Okay. And I've already given you some exam strategy tips. Do focus on these. Do follow these, right? Do prioritize your passages. Read the question stems before reading the RCs. Focus on the easy questions. Eliminate and mark something for all the questions, right? So this was about how to maximize your score in RC passages. Very good if you've got 4 on 5 correct. Now I'll meet you today in the evening at 7 p.m. We will discuss the most popular previous year questions of MAH CET today. Okay, so see you at 7 p.m. All right, and till then you can keep on learning on your own. Yes, various vocabulary words, grammar. I hope you've started your preparation. This is our ongoing CAT 2022 comprehensive program batch that prepares you for all the entrance exams. This is our Telegram channel that you can join for further queries, raising further queries. And yes, this is it from my side for today. Okay, good if you've got even 3 correct. That's a decent one for this RC passage. Okay, welcome. See you in the evening. Bye.